All right. I think we got it. Seeing my audio. I know I hit the unmute button, so I think we are good to go. Let me turn my volume down just a little bit. There we go. Well, greetings, everyone. Dr. Josh here, and this is Digital Hammurabi. Very excited to be here, and I definitely owe you guys a stream because we we reached 5,000 subscribers this morning, I think. So fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. You guys are incredible. So thank you very much. Actually, the last time I checked, just a couple minutes ago, we're at 5,055 subs. I'm blown away, frankly, just blown away. So thank you all very much. And let me just look at this side chat here. Oh, you guys are incredible. Yeah, how did I pull it off? That's a good question, Tim Smith. I don't know. I've got both fingers. I've got this Stream Deck. I don't know if you guys use a Stream Deck. I don't know if people use this, but I need all the help I can get. So I have both fingers on the like interview screen and on the unmute screen, or on the unmute button or whatever. So yeah. Yes, it is the most phallic thing. I love it. I'm okay with that. So, how you guys doing? I'm feeling pretty good tonight. Missing Megan like crazy. She's been having it rough. Oliver's not sleeping. And she doesn't get to go home all that often, and yeah. So anyway, yeah, send if you think about it, tweet her something nice. She always checks that, and yeah. All right. Let me talk about some of my announcements that I wrote down on my cool piece of paper. By the way, wearing my Digital Hammurabi swag, and the cool one came today. So this is the back. I am Ashurbanipal, which is the translation of boom. And I am super excited to wear it. Unfortunately, when these things come, it's like they've dipped them in vinegar or something. So you can't, I don't know, you can't wear them. All right, so what am I doing here? Okay, so are we doing the redneck super chat reading? Do you guys want the Kent Hovind? You know, I leave that up to you guys. Of course, when Megan's here, she'll do the super chats and she'll read them in her sexy voice. But I feel like the Kent Hovind thing has been popular recently. So I'll leave that up to you guys. You let me know in the side chat if you want me to read the super chats or how you want me to read them. But I see it, Biblical History Skeptics. Thank you very much. I'll read it in just a second. Just want to make sure how you guys want to hear them. But so real quick, digital fiction. If you guys watched the Non Sequitur show last night, all right, I'm seeing some Kent Hovind requests here. I'll tell you what, I'll do it in both, just because it looks like Biblical History Skeptics wants it. You're gonna get to hear it twice. So, time for German redneck super chat readings, or it's time for German redneck super chat readings, just like you have with evolution, the 17 types of evolution, and of course that's fine if you want to believe that, but it's not science, and don't fund it in the public school systems. Oh gosh. So yeah, I see an awful lot for Kent Hovind. So yeah, me do a sexy voice. Yeah, we want super chats. This is the key. So anyway, so digital fiction. If you watched the Non Sequitur show last night, it was a really nice guy that was on there, Daniel Ray, and Wayne was on there as well, but he was having some audio problems and it was tough. But yeah, we talked about some I'd say some moderate stuff. He was a real moderate guy. I think Skylar was looking for more of a dumpster fire, but unfortunately, Daniel was just too reasonable. But no, digital fiction. We went on to the Non Sequitur Show to sort of promote our channel, and we have we had an intro video that we played. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out on our channel. And hopefully this weekend we'll do a digital fiction episode. And just by the way, guys, I am trying to keep an eye on the side chat. But if you do want me to see something, please do that at Digital Hammurabi, because otherwise I will probably miss it. I'll be on Talking Doctrines channel tomorrow. If you don't know who that is, he came on to Skylar's channel earlier this week, maybe. So he emailed me and asked me if I'd come on, and I said that'd be great. He's a really nice guy as well, so that should be a good conversation. I don't know what we're talking about. I think he just said he wants to chat, so I think it'll be good. Use interpretive dance for the super chats. Yes, perhaps. So Maggie Bryson, Dr. Maggie Bryson, if you don't know, has very graciously offered to teach Middle Egyptian on the channel. So it's going to be fantastic having her on. By Bill Ashby, 2 pounds. Cluck, cluck, gibber, gibber. My old man is a mushroom. Nice. Oh, man. Also, so we were going to have the first installment of Middle Egyptian go up this morning or this afternoon. We got something wrong with the editing. I couldn't figure out how to fix it, so Megan's taking care of it in the UK, and she will send it to me to upload. I think maybe, I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we'll get it up hopefully tomorrow. If not, yeah, hopefully tomorrow. Also, some big news, I think. I talked to Dr. Bryson while we were kind of going back and forth trying to fix this audio issue on her video, and I begged her a little bit to come on and give an interview about the Exodus and the consensus Egyptological view, different views, the main views on the Exodus. It's going to be great. It's going to be, I think, on the 8th of February. Wait, I put it in my calendar. Stand by. Stand by one. 16th. It's going to be on the 16th of February at 2 p.m. is how we've tentatively scheduled it. And it's going to be great. She's going to come on and she's going to talk about what are the main consensus scholarly views on the Exodus. And how do they match up with, some of the more, well, it'll just be good to see. So what do they think of the Exodus? Maybe we'll talk about the Hyksos. She loves talking about the Hyksos, so maybe I can convince her to do that. A human-powered machine for $5. Boom, 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 a sea monster. So thank you very much for that, guys. These super chats are fantastic. I really appreciate it. So that's I'm really excited about that Exodus episode interview. And finally, I'm plugging away at the slavery video, trying to find times. Difficult, but I'm trying to get it done. And that should be going up hopefully by the weekend. That slavery video will be up. And also, I'm just about ready to write the script on the formation of the Pentateuch video. So that should be really good as well. Right. Okay. So that's all the announcements that I have. And without further ado, I wanted to do, since we've been talking about slavery and we've been talking about biblical laws, and I make a lot of references in particular in this video to things like the law of Hammurabi or the law code of Hammurabi. And I thought it would be a good idea to just come on and read some of these laws. I don't think we'll be able to read through the whole thing. There's 250 preserved, I think. Perhaps as many as 300 were originally on the Steely. But Shannon Q, will you come on my channel? I'm a big fan. I would love to come back on your channel, Shannon. It's always a boost for us to come on like the amazing people's channels in the community. So anytime. Yeah, I'll stop the stream right now and come on your channel. Just kidding. I probably shouldn't do that, but that's how much I think of you. Actually, I'd be tempted to do that if you said no. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, everyone. So, what I thought is that I'd read through some of these laws, and then if we get through enough and we've got time, and you guys want to press forward, we can read through some of the other law codes. I'm going to stop saying codes in hey, my sister's in the side chat trying to study LSAT and watch this too. Law on law. This would be great. Fantastic. By the way, I just want to show you guys this. Okay, so you know how we always have to, if you didn't watch the Apologia Ham and Eggs, where we went on and Megan's cartoon breastfed, which is so brilliant. If you haven't watched that video, you need to go watch it and subscribe to Apologia. He's amazing. Same with Shannon Q. Go subscribe to Shannon. Anyway, sorry. But because Megan has to leave so often, and I've got the girls in the other room sleeping, they might come in, and the screen just sort of sits here. I thought, you know what? We need to have some sort of a holding screen. Is that amazing or what? Oh gosh. So anyway, so every time Megan has to go get Oliver, I have to go get the kids. We'll put that little holding screen up, and hopefully we can get it to change so that it matches the thing that we're doing. Anyway, okay. Enough of all that. Let's get into the laws. And what I'll do is I'll kind of do a little bit of a lead in on if we get to different law codes. By the way, I'm going to say codes. That's what I started to say. I'm going to say codes just because that's what they're called colloquially. I won't keep doing this to say code. I'm hoping everybody knows what I mean, but it wasn't a law code. This is just a set of laws. It's not meant to be codified in that way. But anyway, elevator music, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it worked out all right. So, the law of Hammurabi, the law code of Hammurabi, begins with a prologue, and then you have the laws themselves, probably originally close to 300 of them, and then it ends with an epilogue. So what I'll do is I'll read the prologue, which is beautiful Akkadian poetry, and then, or at least very high. It's beautiful Akkadian, and then I'll read some of the laws. Now I'm going to focus in on some of the ones that I think have a biblical tie that'll be interesting to you. So I've highlighted some of them. All the ones about slavery, I think I got most of them. About slavery, we'll read those. And then, we'll read the epilogue and discuss it kind of as we go. All right, so here's the prologue, Law Code of Hammurabi. When the august god Anu, king of the Anunnaki deities, and the god Enlil, lord of heaven and earth, who determines the destinies of the land, allotted supreme power over all the peoples to the god Marduk, the firstborn son of the god Ea, exalted him among the Agigu deities, named the city of Babylon with its august name, and made it supreme within the regions of the world, and established for him within it eternal kingship, whose foundations are as fixed as heaven and earth. Maybe I should read a little bit in Kent Hovind's voice. I'll save that for the super chats. By the way, we may be doing a parody, maybe working on a parody song in Kent Hovind's voice. That should be fun. At that time, the gods Anu and Enlil, for the enhancement of the well-being of the people, named me by my name, Hammurabi, the pious prince who venerates the gods, to make justice prevail in the land, to abolish the wicked and the evil, to prevent the strong from oppressing the weak, to rise like the sun god Shamash over all humankind, to illuminate the land. Now you notice right off the bat here, Math Magic Pagan, I am the law, Judge Dredd. Yep. Love that movie. Is that the one with Sylvester Stallone? I'm not mixing these up, am I? In my mind, that's who I see. Anyway. But you see right from the beginning, the text is focused on the king as the good shepherd, as the righteous judge, as the pious ruler, as the one who fears the God and serves the people and protects the weak. And, this is what the text is about. So keep that in mind. We talked about this before, but keep that in mind as we go through the laws. The laws are focusing on the king being the one who does what is right for his people. I am Hammurabi, the shepherd, selected by the god Enlil, he who heaps high abundance and plenty, who perfects every possible thing for the city of Nippur, the city known as it's probably Pond, of heaven and earth, the pious provider of the Acor temple, that's the temple in Nippur, the restorer of the city Eridu, the purifier of the rites of the 𝀭Support temple, the onslaught of the 4 regions of the world. I love seeing that because, the whole flat earth cosmology, who magnifies the reputation of the city of Babylon, who gladdens the heart of his divine lord Marduk, whose days are devoted to the Esangil temple, seed of royalty, he whom the gods seen created, enricher of the city of Ur, humble and talented, who provides abundance for the Gishnungal temple. Sorry, every time my phone vibrates, I think I got to make sure that's not Megan waking up in the middle of the night, needing to talk. Discerning king, obedient to the god Shamash. By the way, Shamash, you see him show up a lot for a number of reasons. Here in this text, Shamash is the god of justice. So you're going to see that a lot. Obedient to the god Shamash, the mighty one, who establishes the foundations of the city of Sippar, that's Shamash's city, who drapes the sacred building of the goddess Aya with greenery, who made famous the temple of 𝀭Babar, which is akin to the abode of heaven, the warrior who shows mercy to the city of Larsa, who renews the 𝀭Babar temple for the god Shamash, his ally, the Lord who revitalizes the city of Uruk, who provides abundant waters for its people, who raises high the summit of the Ayana temple, who heaps up bountiful produce for the gods Anu and Ishtar, the protecting canopy of the land, who gathers together the scattered peoples of the city of Isin, who supplies abundance for the temple of Egalmach. You notice that he's talking about different cities throughout the region, right? And this thing takes up a lot of space, right? This prologue isn't like a couple lines long. It's a pretty badass mug, isn't it? Just wanna... Aw, snizzle. Such a dork. Anyway. So this is an important feature. The prologue and the epilogue, very, very important, right? It's very, very important to understanding the text as a whole. Dragon among kings, beloved brother of the god Zababa, founder of the settlement of Kish, who surrounds the Amete Orsang, who arranges the great rites for the goddess Ishtar, who takes charge of the temple of Khorsang Kalama, the enemy ensnaring throw-net, whose companion, the god Era, has allowed him to obtain his heart's desire, who enlarges the city of Kutu, who augments everything for the Meslam temple, the fierce wild bull who gores the enemy, beloved of the god Tutu, the one who makes the city of Borsippa exult, the pious one who does not fail in his duties to the Azida temple, the dwelling of the God of Kings. I'll pause there for just a second to sort of scroll through the chat and make sure I'm not missing anything. Math Magic Pagan, yes, but helmet on or helmet off? I don't know what that means. Sorry. Lieutenant Galloway, Shamash equals Utu more or less? Yes. Utu is the Sumerian, Shamash is the Akkadian. Is that Lhasa, like the place in Tibet? I do not know. Sorry. And loving that Chandice, Theomaki. Thank you. The Chandice. For those of you that don't know what that means, I'm sure you all do because we all have regulars here. But I refuse to call it merch. I refuse to call it merch. So I call it Chandice because I have issues. Okay. The one who is steeped in wisdom, who enlarges the cultivated area of the city of Dilbot, who heaps up the storage bins for the mighty god Urash. The Lord, worthy recipient of the scepter and crown bestowed upon him by the wise goddess Mama, who devised the plans of the city of Kesh, who provides the pure food offerings for the goddess Nintu. The judicious one, the noble one, who allots pasturage and watering place for the cities of Lagash and Girsu, who provides plentiful food offerings for the Aininu temple. Notice how long this is. Who seizes the enemies, beloved of the goddess Ishtar, the able one, who perfects the oracles of the city of Zabalam, who gladdens the heart of the goddess Ishtar. The pure prince, whose prayers the god Adad acknowledges, appeaser of the heart of the god Adad, the hero of the city of Karkara, who installs the proper appointments throughout the Eud Galgal temple. The king who gives life to the city of Adab, who organizes the Amach temple, Lord of kings, peerless warrior, who granted life to the city of Mashkan Shapir, who gives waters of abundance to the Meslam temple. Again, going through, setting up, establishing, making the rites correct. So he's this pious one, serving the people, making sure that the gods are happy, that they are satisfied, that the people therefore are protected. This is a big deal, right? I wrote my dissertation on the liturgical texts that are used in the appeasement of the gods. And this is a big deal, right? It's a big deal to keep the gods happy, to keep them pacified. And so this is what the king is doing. This is what his job is. Wise one, the organizer, he who has mastered all wisdom, who shelters the people of the city of Malgium in the face of annihilation, who founds their settlements in abundance, who decreed eternal pure food offerings for the gods Enki and Damkina, who magnify his kingship, leader of kings, who subdues the settlements along the Euphrates River by the oracular command of the god Dagon, his creator, who showed mercy to the people of the cities of Mari and Tutul. Side note here, this is pretty late in Hammurabi's reign. I think it's his 43rd year when this stele is erected. So, like he's conquered, right? He's established justice in his mind in the lands. He's beaten Mari. He's beaten, these nations, not the nations, but the other, powers around him. And he's brought about this centralized rule for Babylonia. By the way, if you see my face or neck or whatever start to turn really red, sorry, I'm not nervous or something. I take Tecfidera for my MS and it makes me flush for like an hour, I took it about a half hour ago, so it's kicking in, which is really awesome. Makes me, every day I get to have a sunburn twice. It feels like it too. Anyway, so that's what that is. I don't know why I told you that. I have a super chat here. It's VRCNGTRX. I don't know that I can pronounce that because I think I haven't evolved enough to do so. For $2. Great show. Thank you very much. Okay. The pious prince who brightens the countenance of the god Tishpak, who provides pure feasts for the goddess Ninazu, who sustains his people in crisis, who secures their foundations in peace in the midst of the city of Babylon. Shepherd of the people, whose deeds are pleasing to the goddess Ishtar, who establishes Ishtar in the 𒀭Support temple in the midst of Akkad the city, who proclaims truth, who guides the population properly, who restores its benevolent protective spirit to the city of Ashur. By the way, I should say, I'm reading from Martha Roth's Law Collections. I can't remember the full title of it. Law Collections from Mesopotamia and Asia Minor, 1997. It's a fantastic resource for the law collections. Good grief, this is starting to get annoying. Anyway, who proclaims truth, who guides the population properly, who restores its benevolent protective spirit to the city of Ashur, who quells the rebellious, the king who proclaimed the rights for the goddess Ishtar in the city of Nineveh in the 𒀭Support temple, the pious one who prays ceaselessly for the great gods, scion of Sumulael, mighty heir of Sin-Muballit, eternal seed of royalty, mighty king, solar disk of the city of Babylon, who spreads light over the lands of Sumer and Akkad, king who makes the four regions obedient, favored of the goddess Ishtar am I. When the god Marduk commanded me to provide just ways for the people of the land, in order to attain appropriate behavior, I established truth and justice as the declaration of the land. I enhanced the well-being of the people. At that time, I'm going to have to take this outer shirt off, sorry. So I wanted to read all of that in full, and it's really important, I think, because, again, we come to these texts sometimes not realizing exactly how they should be emphasized, right? So with the Law Code of Hammurabi, Theomaki says it's pronounced Vercingetorix, like Caesar's rival in Gaul. I wish that I studied the later periods more. Sorry. What was I saying? Right. So when we come to texts like this, like the Law Code of Hammurabi, sometimes we just go to the laws. Most of the time, right? We just go to the laws because that's what we're really interested in. We're interested in figuring out what did they think and what was their rationale. And the interesting thing, though, is that it's a genre. These law codes are a genre. They're there for a reason, and the texts are doing something, just like all the other texts in the ancient Near East. So reading this this long prologue, I think is actually really important because it sets the context a little bit more, and it gives you an idea that it's not just these laws that are listed out, right? This text is doing something, and it's showing that that the king Hammurabi is a just, pious king that serves the gods. This is what he's doing, and it's very important in this text. So these laws then reflect this idea, right? How is he a just king? How is he a pious king? One that supports the people and defends them, and it's by these verdicts, right? These things. Thank you, Theomaki, for that. I'm okay with not being able to pronounce it. It's cool. Thank you. Okay, so let me read some of these. I'll read the first couple and then I'll switch. If a man accuses another man and charges him with homicide, but cannot bring proof against him, his accuser shall be killed. If a man charges another man with practicing witchcraft, but cannot bring proof against him, he who is charged with witchcraft shall go to the divine river ordeal. He shall indeed submit to the divine river ordeal. This is the thing where you either jump in or you get thrown into the river. The river is the god, and so the god sort of deals with you as he will. and it's when you don't have evidence. Good Lord. Sorry. It's when you don't have sufficient evidence to bring a verdict for the judges or whatever to bring a verdict. It's the same sort of thing. It's akin to the same sort of thing that you see in Numbers 5. And I hear Shannon Q talk about this a lot, I think rightfully so. But Numbers 5 is, it's when a woman who is thought to have committed adultery, her husband thinks that she's committed adultery, but there's no evidence for it. He brings her to the tabernacle. The priest takes some water and scoops up dirt off of the floor and puts it into the water. And she drinks it after, a ritual has been performed. And then she swears that she has not committed adultery, and then she drinks it. And God, Yahweh is then supposed to, through that water, with the tabernacle dust, or whatever that's been mixed, or dirt that's been mixed in there, is to judge the woman. So if she is innocent, nothing happens to her. If not, if she has committed adultery, then her belly expands or thigh rots. It's tricky, but it probably has something to do with killing the fetus. Yep, dirt water abortion. That's one way of saying it. Yep. It's a tricky passage, right? But it's hard for me. I've looked at it with some scrutiny. It's difficult for me to get away from textually, semantically, syntactically, whatever. I think that it's hard to escape that the fetus, at least in some circumstances, is aborted. But it is a tricky passage. Okay, I've dwelled on that long enough. All right, let's skip down. But you hear it. If this, then that. If this, then that. This is how these laws are set up. So let's read some of the ones that I think are interesting in relation to the biblical text. Vibrantly Brantley. Did this technique ever work in the summer? The river ordeal. I see. Yeah, people doing all kinds of things in the summer to. There's not enough evidence. You should throw me in the river. Understood. Of course, every time I think about the river ordeal, I think about Monty Python and the Search for the Quest for the Holy Grail, where he puts the witch up on the scales. By the way, you know what? I'm going to do a video on this. Somebody remind me. Somebody send me an email or something. Because I'm going to talk about an exegetical fallacy that people commit, and it's a really good example is that scene with I can't remember which knight is there doing the scales, but that chain of logic that he does. Remind me. Somebody send me an email. I'll do a video on it. It won't be a long video, but it should be pretty good. Okay. Anyway, Law 14. If a man should kidnap the young child of another man, he shall be killed. If a man should enable a palace slave woman, a commoner's slave, or a commoner's slave woman to leave through the main city gate, he shall be killed. If a man should harbor a fugitive slave or slave woman of either the palace or of a commoner in his house, and not bring him out at the herald's public proclamation, that householder shall be killed. By the way, I should say, these laws are roughly around 1750 B.C.E. So 1,200 years, maybe earlier than the biblical text. So you don't want to read this and say, oh well, if it says it in the law code of Hammurabi, then that's what they meant in the biblical text. You don't want to do that. However, there is an awful lot of continuity in ancient Near Eastern law, so you definitely don't want to ignore, even with this great gulf of time. And there's several reasons. We won't go into them here. Some of them are these. The laws of Hammurabi were used as scribal exercises for a long period of time, down into the first millennium. So there's definitely a tradition, right? And you see these things, these laws being picked up directly in the biblical text. So, you can't necessarily do like a one for one. I see KJV in the side chat here, which I find very interesting. People are saying that we should use the KJV. I don't know. I don't like reading Old English. I think it's easier to understand newer English. I love the NIV. For anybody that's wondering, I think if you want to understand what the biblical text is saying, like if you want to read the biblical text, particularly you want to go through a book and you just want to know what the text is saying, and you're not really concerned about getting into grammatical minutia, if you just want to get the gist, if you want to get what I consider good authorial intent, read the NIV. I'm down with that. That's what I read. So, and I feel reasonably qualified to say that. So, all right. If a man should harbor a fugitive slave, this is Law 16, or slave woman of either the palace or of a commoner in his house, and not bring him out at the herald's public proclamation, that householder shall be killed. If a man seizes a fugitive slave or slave woman in the open country and leads him back to his owner, the slave owner shall give him 2 shekels of silver. By the way, these laws, this is one of the reasons that, where is it? Deuteronomy 23? Excuse me. I can't remember precisely, but I think it's Deuteronomy 23, where the text says, if a slave escapes to your land, you're not to return him to his master. You're to allow him to stay where he wants and give him a portion. This is something that pleases him. And sorry. And I see what you're saying there, Tim Smith. I'll read it in just a second. But he's not to be led back. And this is a debated passage, right? I'm not going to say that this is absolutely clear cut. It's definitely not. That being said, and we'll see this in my video, I argue, and I think there's really good evidence that I'll get into in my video. I won't talk about it too much here, but I think there's really good evidence to suggest that we should understand this as a foreign slave who is, and believe me, this is not just my interpretation. This is a pretty standard interpretation. But this is a foreign slave, coming from Moab maybe, or coming from Edom, or one of the surrounding nations, and fleeing into Israel. And if you want to see the evidence for that, watch the video when it comes out, hopefully this weekend. But it's not. I don't think it's describing a slave that a Hebrew, like a Hebrew slave owner has a slave and that slave runs away, and another Hebrew, another Israelite says, "Oh, look, a slave. He doesn't have to go back to his master." I don't think that's what that's describing, and I think there are good reasons to not see it that way. So, anyway, and I think that has implications on the biblical laws. So. Okay. If a slave should refuse, Law 18, to identify his owner, he should... Oh, sorry, I was supposed to read something here. Tim Smith, please mention the nursemaid's breast being cut off. Not all these codes were justice. Yet there's a lot of... that. Yeah. Fair point. Some of the laws, for example, the Middle Assyrian laws, were... in a very specific context. You have to read them along with the Assyrian palace decrees. And maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do some of that. They're lengthy, but not really lengthy, but not this lengthy. But there are laws for the harem, for example, in the Assyrian palace. And so like the laws in the Middle Assyrian laws are often directed towards women and how they should behave. it's complicated. You're right, Tim Smith. It's not always simply about justice in the sense that we would think about it. Yeah, these laws that we're describing here, I think, pretty clearly show, both from the epilogue, the prologue and the epilogue, and from the laws themselves, that the king is attempting to be just. So, excuse me. Okay, if that slave should refuse to identify his owner, he shall lead him off to the palace. His circumstances shall be investigated, and they shall return him to his owner. If he should detain that slave in his own house, and afterward the slave is discovered in his possession, that man shall be killed. Wow, somebody said we have 100 watching. Yeah, I can't see it. I'm looking at the whatever this screen is that YouTube gives you when you do the Creator Studio and go live or whatever. I can't see how many people watch it. 100 people. Yeah, keep me updated on that, guys. That's fantastic. This is awesome. Thank you all so much. If you haven't liked the stream, I can't see that either. If you haven't liked the stream or subscribed, please do so. We'd really love to have you. And I think we have good content. So, okay. If the slave should escape and escape the custody of the one who seized him, that man shall swear an oath by the god to the owner of the slave, and he shall be released. I'm going to skip a little bit. It goes into breaking and entering and some other things. And we can definitely talk about those if you want to, but I just want to go to the ones that I found really interesting. I thought I highlighted more than this. Where are they? Most of them are about slavery. If a man has a claim of grain or silver, this is Law 115, against another man, distrains a member of his household, and the distrainee dies a natural death while in the house of her or his distrainer, that case has no basis for a claim. You can see maybe why I would read this one. Oh boy, people are apologizing to each other. I love this place. You guys are so awesome, apologizing to each other. I'm hoping I'm reading that right. Sorry if I'm not. I'm just catching it at a glance. But you can see, if you guys have read Exodus 21 and you've heard about verses 20 and 21 where it talks about the slave owner that beats the slave and the slave dies, or if he gets up after a day or two, or he survives a day or two, depending on how you translate the text. So you can see that this, you'd want to read these laws. If the distrainee should die from the effects of a beating or other physical abuse while in the house of her or his distrainer, the owner of the distrainee shall charge and convict his merchant. And if the distrainee is the man's son, they shall kill the distrainer's son. If the man's slave, he shall weigh and deliver 20 shekels of silver. Moreover, he shall forfeit whatever he originally gave as the loan. So look, this is a debt slave, and the debt slave's dying, right, from the effects of a beating, of abuse. If it's the son of... So if a guy goes into debt and he gives his son as a debt slave, as a distrainee, and the master beats his son and kills him, then the master's, by abuse, then the master's son gets killed, right? But if it's a slave that was given, so if Jimmy goes into debt and gives his slave as a debt slave to Bob, and Bob beats his slave to death, Bob beats Jimmy's slave to death, then Bob has to pay Jimmy 20 shekels of silver, and the debt is, it's nullified, right? It's released. So, there you go. You can see how that might play in to Exodus 21. If an obligation is outstanding against a man, and he sells or gives into debt service his wife, his son, or his daughter, they shall perform service in the house of their buyer, or of the one who holds them in debt service for 3 years. 3. Just wanted to note that. their release shall be secured in the 4th year. If he should give a male or female slave into debt service, the merchant may extend the term beyond the 3 years. He may sell him. There are no grounds for a claim. Theomaki, are these laws used to figure out the context of social norms in Hammurabi's time? Like, do these laws reflect things happening then? Yeah, absolutely. So, just quickly, what we know about these laws is that oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name. That's terrible. I'll have to get it. He wrote a book in which one of the chapters he talks about the laws of Hammurabi. You can actually find, because these are the originals, right? It's not like the biblical text where we're working with copies of copies. We're working with originals, right? You can actually see tablets that have legal cases that match up to the laws in Hammurabi's law code. So these were actual legal cases that were going on. What he's doing is he's saying, these are the cases that I, under my command, under my rule, whatever, were adjudicated, or were, is that the right word, adjudicated? I don't know, were settled, handled, whatever. And so, yes, these reflect actual legal cases. So, which is why it's not a code, right? This is just a collection of cases, right? And they're organized in a weird way. They're organized by topic often, but there's some of them are extraordinarily specific and of no real use in a code. And then, of course, some of them are very general and they would be of good use. But they're a collection of actual legal cases, at least in many cases. No pun intended. Okay. If an obligation is outstanding against a man, this is Law 119, and he therefore sells his slave woman who has borne him children, the owner of the slave woman shall weigh and deliver the silver which the merchant weighed and delivered. Let me read that again. The owner of the slave woman shall weigh and deliver the silver which the merchant weighed and delivered as the loan, and he shall thereby redeem his slave woman. Okay. Law 129. By the way, if you guys have questions, please put them in the side chat. Just tag me at Digital Hammurabi. Oh, gosh. Law 129. If a man's... Sorry, I thought I heard my kids. Let me just go check. And I get to use the little be right back screen. Hang on. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. They're good, by the way. Okay, Law 129. By the way, did I miss any questions? 107. Man, thank you, Gemma Scout. 107 watching. You guys are fantastic. Hey, if you like this, like share it out on Twitter. don't know why I can't think of words. Eris 106. Why are the prices for these laws so specific? Didn't ancient Near Eastern empires have a vibrant economy that suffered inflation? I haven't actually studied economics an awful lot in the ancient Near East. But you do see these standard sort of prices, and they carry through, like 20 shekels, 30 shekels. These sort of things. I can't tell if this is a joke. From Dr. Professor Kent Hovind. Digital Hammurabi, I'm challenging you to a 36-round, 164-hour debate where I prove that my PhD is more real than yours. You win. I can't do it. There's no way. Your PhD is more real than mine. Okay, sorry. If a man's wife should be seized lying with another male, they shall bind them and cast them into the water. If the wife's master allows his wife to live, then the king shall allow his subject, the other male, to live. If a man pins down another man's virgin while... Okay. Man, sorry, this thing is really hitting me. If a man pins down another man's virgin wife who is still residing in her father's house, and they seize him lying with her, that man shall be killed. That woman shall be released. Law 131. If her husband accuses his own wife of adultery, although she has not been seized lying with another male, she shall swear to her innocence by an oath by the god and return to her house. If a man's wife should have a finger pointed against her in accusation involving another male, although she has not been seized lying with another man, she shall submit to the divine river ordeal for her husband. So you can see here the similarities, right? The similarities in the Numbers 5 and here with the river ordeal. So you have a wife who's taken thought to have committed adultery, and but there's no evidence she wasn't found lying with the man. So she either swears before the god that she didn't do it. Ostensibly, the belief was here that the god would bring about a curse if in fact she had done it. Dr. Professor Ken Hovind, I knew it. I hope this is a joke. If not, that's really scary. 71 likes. Jim Majors, love this. Thank you. Digital Hammurabi, Vibrantly Brantley. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I answered that. Sorry. I lose track of what I say. Sorry, but I don't know the answer about the specificity of the the prices as far as inflation is concerned. A lot of ink has been spilled over the economy in the ancient Near East, and I haven't read the secondary literature on it, so I don't know. That's a good question, though. Theomaki, did other cultures ever mention the laws of Hammurabi? Any mention from Egypt or Greece? Egypt and Greece, I don't know. The laws were copied as part of scribal exercise, and cuneiform culture made the rounds, right? So you see Gilgamesh, for example. Gilgamesh shows up in all kinds of different places, and of course, cuneiform was utilized in Egypt and up in the north in Hatti. So I wouldn't be surprised. But I haven't actually looked at the instances, the occurrences of the Law Code of Hammurabi. Bill Ashby asks, is the river ordeal similar to the dunking maybe, of witches thing where if they drown they're innocent? I'm trying to remember the specifics of the outcomes of the river ordeal. It is similar, right? You throw it's I think it's dissimilar. I don't know about the witches so much. I think because the water is not considered a god, I don't think, in the witches dunking. I think it has to do with their divinity or their not divinity, but they're supernatural. I don't know. You know what? I'm speaking about something I don't know. So I don't know. What I will say is that the river ordeal is designed because in such a way that the god is the river. So you throw the person into the river, and as the god deals with them, justice is served. So because the rationale behind this is the god knows whether this woman committed adultery or not, right? He or she is a god. So Trevor Lund, are you sipping from an Ashurbanipal King of the World 11-ounce royal blue mug like the one I'm currently using for coffee whilst watching this in Australia? It's not blue, it's black, but yes, it is awesome. I know it's tough to see here, but yeah. And I wish I had more. There's more in the other room, but I can't. I don't want to leave you guys again, so there you go. Okay, sorry. Got caught up. Let's keep going. Law 137. If a man should decide to divorce a Shugitu who bore him children, or a Naditu who provided him with children, these are women that serve in special capacities, they shall return, provided him with children, they shall return to that woman her dowry, and they shall give her 1/2 of her husband's field, orchard, and property, and she shall raise her children. After she has raised her children, they shall give her a share comparable in value to that of one heir from whatever properties are given to her sons, and a husband of her choice may marry her. Law 146. If a man marries a Naditu, and she gives a slave woman to her husband, and she, the slave, then bears children. By the way, Naditu, Shugitu, these are specific roles that are played in and there's actually a lot of work that's done on these. And maybe we'll go into it at some point, but they play specific roles in the country. Gemma Scout, it looks blue on the screen. Sorry. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Because my shirt's black. I probably should adjust the color or something. Katie Dodson. Oops. It scrolled. Wasn't the Egyptian 42 negative confessions taken from the laws of Hammurabi, or am I way off base here? I don't know. And you know what? Maybe if you email me that, I can ask Dr. Bryson when she comes on the 16th, I think is what I said. So, Christy Santiago, hello. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. Okay. Right, so if a man marries a Naditu and she gives a slave woman to her husband, and she, the slave, then bears children, after which that slave woman aspires to equal status with her mistress. Because she bore children, her mistress will not sell her. She shall place upon her the slave hairlock, and she shall reckon her with the slave woman. If she does not bear children, her mistress shall sell her. Gemma Scout, yeah, my shirt looks blue as well. It does. Her choice, the woman's. I don't know what it is in reference to. Sorry, there's such a delay. I'm not sure what law that refers to. Law 154. If a man should carnally know his daughter, they shall banish that man from the city. If a man selects a bride for his son, and his son carnally knows her, after which he himself then lies with her, and they seize him in the act, they shall bind that man and cast him into the water. Law 157. If a man after his father's death should lie with his mother, they shall burn them both. If a man after his father's death should be discovered in the lap of his father's principal wife, who had borne children, that man shall be disinherited from the paternal estate. Skipping down, Law 175. If a slave of the palace or a slave of a commoner marries a woman of the Awilu class, that's like a full citizen, freeman, and she then bears children, the owner of the slave will have no claims of slavery against the children of the woman of the Awilu class. And if either a slave of the palace or a slave of a commoner marries a woman of the 𝀭 class, and when he marries her, she enters the house of the slave of the palace. It's a little complicated. The house of the slave of the palace or of the slave of the commoner, together with the dowry. Okay. One of the things that I struggle with, with the MS, is that I have trouble following things when they're said out loud. So even when I say them out loud. It's sad, right? Okay. And if either a slave of the palace or a slave of a commoner marries a woman of the 𝀭 class, okay, so a slave marries a woman of the 𝀭 class, and when he marries her, she enters the house of the slave of the palace or of the slave of the commoner, together with the dowry brought from her father's house. Okay, so she goes in to live with the slave. And subsequent to the time that they move in together, they establish a household and accumulate possessions, after which either the slave of the palace or the slave of the commoner should go to his fate, that means to die. Okay, the woman of the 𝀭 class shall take her dowry. Furthermore, they shall divide into 2 parts everything that her husband and she accumulated subsequent to the time that they moved in together. And the slave's owner shall take half of the woman of the 𝀭 class. The slave's owner shall take half of the woman. The slave's owner shall take half, and the woman of the 𝀭 class shall take half of her half for her children. Okay, so this is describing, right? Remember in Exodus 21 in the beginning, where it says if a slave comes in as a debt servant and then marries a slave that the master gives, has children, and then he goes, he's going to go free after the 6 years. The wife and the kids stay with the master, right? Because of the property, right? So, and so he can then say, I love my wife and I love my master, my children, whatever, and get his ear pierced. Okay. So this is the same sort of thing that's being dealt with here, right? This idea that, the slave owner still has rights to the slave. Even though a free woman came in and married him, she doesn't just get to take all of his stuff, right? And it has to be divided. So, but that doesn't. So, the slave owner has no right to her dowry, right? So, these are important distinctions that are made here, and the biblical text deals with these things as well. Okay, Gemma Scout. Don't worry about the MS effects for us. Just keep moving forward. What you have to say is important. Thank you. That's really sweet. I'm sorry that it comes out all jumbled. See, when Megan's here, she can sort of bail me out. So, if the woman of the 𝀭 class does not have a dowry, they shall divide into 2 parts everything that her husband and she accumulated subsequent to the time that they moved in together, and the slave's owner shall take half, and the woman of the 𝀭 class shall take half for her children. Skipping down. Okay, here we go. If a child should strike his father, they shall cut off his hand. If an 𝀭 should blind the eye of another 𝀭, so a freeman blinds the eye of another freeman. Jim Majors, could the 𝀭own slaves? I don't know. Yeah, no, that's right, because when it said the slave of a commoner, I'm assuming that's a 𝀭. I could go back and look. But yes, I would say Tim Smith. Got a super chat. Tim Smith, $5. I think $1.95 is a crazy one. Can you read it? Absolutely. If a child should strike his father, they shall cut off his hand. If an 𝀭 should, so that's $1.95. Yeah, I mean it is crazy, right? A lot of these are crazy. Right. So if an 𝀭 should blind the eye of another 𝀭, they shall blind his eye. If he should break the bone of another 𝀭, they shall break his bone. If he should blind the eye of a commoner, Yep, and that's mushkenu. Or break the bone of a commoner, he shall weigh and deliver 60 shekels of silver. Sorry. I thought I saw some. Sorry. But you notice here, right, the distinction, right? You have freeman and bone for bone, eye for eye, whatever. But then, a commoner, it's not one for one. You pay out. If he should blind the eye of an 𝀭 slave or break the bone of an 𝀭 slave, he shall weigh and deliver 1/2 of his value in silver. If an 𝀭 should knock out the tooth of another 𝀭 of his own rank, they shall knock out his tooth. If he should knock out the tooth of a commoner, he shall weigh and deliver 20 shekels of silver. If an 𝀭 should strike the cheek of an 𝀭 who is of status higher than his own, he shall be flogged in the public assembly with 60 strikes of an ox whip. If a member of the 𝀭 class should strike the cheek of another member of the 𝀭 class who is his equal, he shall weigh and deliver 60 shekels of silver. Theomaki says, Law 282 makes the all in Exodus 21 sound like a breeze. Haha. All right, I'm going to get to it. We're going to make sure we read it. We're at 204. If a commoner should strike the cheek of another commoner, he shall weigh and deliver 10 shekels of silver. If an 𝀭 slave an 𝀭's slave should strike the cheek of a member of the 𝀭 class, they shall cut off his ear. So now you're going from slave to freeman. If an 𝀭 should strike another 𝀭 during a brawl and inflict upon him a wound, that 𝀭 shall swear, I did not strike intentionally, and he shall satisfy the physician. And this is what you see in Exodus 21, right? So in Exodus 21, you got two men fighting. He strikes one with a rock, or his fist, I think is the other thing. And he's in bed for a couple of days, right? And then he walks around with a stick. He's supposed to satisfy his bills, right? So you can see this, the parallels here. If he should die from his beating, he shall swear, I did not strike him intentionally. If he, the victim, is a member of the 𝀭 class, he shall weigh and deliver 30 shekels of silver. If he, the victim, is a member of the commoner class, he shall weigh and deliver 20 shekels of silver. If an 𝀭 strikes a woman of the 𝀭 class and thereby causes her to miscarry her fetus, he shall weigh and deliver 10 shekels of silver for her fetus. If that woman should die, they shall kill his daughter. Okay, super chat. Nicholas Quinton, for $3, educational and entertaining, take my money. Of course, I'll do that as this is evolving into something where the water resides near the otters. Thank you, Nicholas. That's really nice. If he should cause a woman of the commoner class to miscarry her fetus by the beating, he shall weigh and deliver 5 shekels of silver. So 10 shekels for an 𝀭, a freeman, and 5 shekels for a mishkenu, for a commoner. If that woman should die, his daughter doesn't die, he shall weigh and deliver 30 shekels of silver. So you can see the distinction made between the freeman and the commoner. So, Lieutenant Galloway, is there archaeological evidence that these sentences were almost always carried out, or did people plea or bribe their way out of the harsher punishments? That's a good question. So I'm not a legal expert from the Old Babylonian period, which is when this text was composed, and I think we'd have to take each of these periods on their own. That's what I would suspect. And yeah, I mean, I my gut would tell me yes, that's probably what happened. But we do know, we do have actual legal cases, so that's probably something that we could find out. Good question. Say, I ain't from Iraq. But I can only say it in my voice, because unless it's a super chat, I can't say it in the Kent Hovind voice. Dr. Professor Kent Hovind, PhD, Digital Hammurabi. I knew it. That's awesome. My voice is my temple. Awesome. Okay. Some laws about surgery here. I thought I'd read these. If a physician performs major surgery with a bronze lancet upon an 𝑀 and thus heals the 𝑀, or opens an 𝑀's temple with a bronze lancet and thus heals the 𝑀's eye, he shall take 10 shekels of silver as his fee. I just find this interesting because, well, we'll talk about it. I'm supposed to be going, Megan and I are supposed to be going on Mr. Atheist channel in the near term. And there's this argument that, like, the Bible has, the Old Testament in particular, has, like, these innovations, particularly when it comes to, germs and diseases and quarantine. And the thing is, it's just not the case. The Bible's not terribly innovative, actually, and we'll talk about that. So, if he, the patient, is a member of the commoner class, he shall take 5 shekels of silver as his fee. So this is interesting, right? The 𝑀 has to pay more. If he, the patient, is the 𝑀's slave, the slave master shall give to the physician 2 shekels of silver. So, even less. If a physician performs major surgery with a bronze lancet upon an 𝑀 and thus causes the 𝑀's death, or opens an 𝑀's temple with a bronze lancet and thus blinds the 𝑀's eye, they shall cut off his hand. So, Nicholas Quentin for $5. I didn't come from a rock. Furthermore, I am not related to a pine tree. If you want to believe that, that's fine. But that's not science. It's religion. I probably enjoy this too much. Okay. So there's more there about the physician, and we can read them later if you want to, but let me just skip down. If a barber shaves off the slave hairlock of a slave not belonging to him, without the consent of the slave's owner, they shall cut off that barber's hand, which might seem a little excessive, right? But it's not. It's essentially, as understand. Excuse me. I haven't looked into the slave hairlock at all, but I suspect that this is a mark of the slave, right? And so letting people know that he is a slave. So if you cut it off, I suspect that what that's indicating is that the slave could escape being identified as a slave readily. Okay. If a builder, I'm in Law 229 now. How are we doing on time? 9:41. Would have been going an hour. Yeah. Gemma Scout. Sorry. Great Kent Hovind voice. Thank you. Nicholas Quinton. We probably enjoy this too much as well. I agree. I mean, not too much. I think it's awesome. The Kent Hovind voice is what I suspect you're talking about. So, Law 229. By the way, if this starts getting like mundane and we need to do audience questions or something, just let me know in the side chat. If a builder constructs a house for a man, but does not make his work sound, and the house that he constructs collapses and causes the death of the householder, that builder shall be killed. If it should cause the death of a son of the householder, they shall kill a son of that builder. If it should cause the death of a slave of that householder, he shall give to the householder a slave of comparable value for the slave. Boy, a lot of comments. Let's see. Oh, just 2 more. So this law about slave here gives us a hint of that era's fashion, Theomaki. Maybe. So how do you pronounce that? Sky? I'm gonna go with Sky. 75 minutes by Google's clock. Yep. Thank you for the precision. It's awesome. Okay. Scrolling down. Now we wanted to stop at 282, right? Okay, here's one. 252. If a man's slave who is fatally... sorry, let me just back up a little bit. This one will sound very familiar to you, this set. 250. Excuse me. Gemma Scout. Sorry. When I see these, I just... This is not mundane. Keep moving forward. We love you, friendly audience. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. Builder's son. What'd I do? Kill my dad? Gosh. It's crazy. Okay. 250. If an ox gores to death a man while it is passing through the streets, that case has no basis for a claim. Let me know if this sounds familiar. If a man's ox is a known gorer, and the authorities of his city quarter notify him that it is a known gorer, but he does not blunt its horns or control his ox, and that ox gores to death a member of the awilu class, he, the owner, shall give 30 shekels of silver. If it is a man's slave who is fatally gored, he shall give 20 shekels of silver. So. Okay. Getting close. And actually, I have 282 highlighted. Awesome. So 278. If a man purchases a slave or slave woman, and within his 1 month period epilepsy then befalls him, he shall return him to his seller, and the buyer shall take back the silver that he weighed and delivered. If a man purchases a slave or slave woman and then claims arise, his seller shall satisfy the claims. If a man should purchase another man's slave or slave woman in a foreign country, and while he is traveling about within his own country, the owner of the slave or slave woman identifies his slave or slave woman. If they, the slave or slave woman, are natives of the country, their release shall be secured without any payment. If they are natives of another country, the buyer shall declare before the god of the amount of silver that he weighed, and the owner of the slave or slave woman shall give to the merchant the amount of silver that he paid, and thus he shall redeem his slave or slave woman. Vegan atheist coral is 20 to 30 shekels standard. It does seem pretty standard across the board. Even diachronically speaking. So, but no, I haven't specifically looked into that and done a comparative analysis. So, don't go look into it yourself to make sure. I see Shannon Q said that's what she said, and I can only imagine how amazing it was. Okay. Oh, did I skip down? I did. Okay. If a slave should declare to his master, 282, "You are not my master," he, the master, shall bring charge and proof against him that he is indeed his slave, and his master shall cut off his ear. Now, this is interesting. Gemma Scout says 86 likes at present. Thank you. How many people are watching? This is an interesting law, and I'm glad that we brought it up because, Raymond Westbrook, who's passed away, he wrote extensively on ancient Near Eastern law, and in the video that I'm putting out soon, you'll see I cite him a fair amount, and I actually put the several of his books in the bibliographic references for them in the video, so you can check them out as well. But oh, 91. Awesome. Guys are fantastic. Oh, you know, we're going in the same time in the non sequitur show, aren't we? Sorry. I always feel bad when I do that. I never think about that. What was I saying? Oh, right. So 282. So this law, he argues, and I think convincingly, that because the master has to bring charges against his slave before he can inflict this punishment, that there were actually laws or regulations concerning, and maybe they're not spelled out here explicitly, but there were regulations against beating your slave. And of course, some of them are mentioned, right? You know, if you have a debt slave or something, but sorry, I just saw something in the side chat. God, I can't focus. Right. Okay. So so there's restrictions, right? There's always this talk. I hear often talk about the biblical text does so many things to regulate the laws of the wicked surrounding nations. And that is true sometimes, right? There are laws that do seem to improve to some degree. There are also laws that are worse, right? And so, there's certainly not a one way street here. Gemma Scout, I like y'all more than the other shows. Y'all are my favorite. Thank you, Gemma. That is amazing. Really appreciate it. All right, so that's the end. 282 is the last one. And the epilogue. I prefer Digital Hammurabi. Thank you. So I'll read the epilogue because this is also important and I think you'll enjoy it, actually. These are the just decisions which Hammurabi, the able king, has established and thereby has directed the land along the course of truth and the correct way of life. I am Hammurabi, noble king. I have not been careless or negligent toward humankind, granted to my care by the god Enlil, and with whose shepherding the god Marduk charged me. I have sought for them peaceful places. I removed serious difficulties. I spread light over them. With the mighty weapon which the gods Zababa and Ishtar bestowed upon me, with the wisdom which the god Ea allotted to me, with the ability which the god Marduk gave me, I annihilated enemies everywhere. I put an end to wars. I enhanced the well-being of the land. I made the people of all settlements lie in safe pastures. I did not tolerate anyone intimidating them. The great gods have chosen me. I am indeed the shepherd who brings peace, whose scepter is just. My benevolent shade is spread over my city. I held the people of the lands of Sumer and Akkad safely on my lap. They prospered under my protective spirit. I maintained them in peace. With my skillful wisdom, I sheltered them. In order that the mighty not wrong the weak, to provide just ways for the waif and the widow, I have inscribed my precious pronouncements upon my stela, and set it up before the statue of me, the King of Justice, in the city of Babylon, the city which the gods Anu and Enlil have elevated, within the Asangil, the temple whose foundations are fixed, as are heaven and earth, in order to render the judgments of the land, to give the verdicts of the land, and to provide just ways for the wronged. I am the king, preeminent among kings. My pronouncements are choice. My ability is unrivaled. By the command of the god Shamash, the great judge of heaven and earth, may my justice prevail in the land. By the order of the god Marduk, my lord, may my engraved image not be confronted by someone who would remove it. May my name always be remembered favorably in the Asangil temple which I love. Oh, I'll pause for a second. We have another super chat. Nicholas Quinton for $5. 1 drop of water will cover the entire world if you spread it real thin. Good point. Okay. Let any wronged man who... I almost started there in the voice. Let any wronged man who has a lawsuit come before the statue of me, the King of Justice, and let him have my inscribed stela read aloud to him. Thus he may hear my precious pronouncements, and let my stela reveal the lawsuit for him. May he examine his case, may he calm his troubled heart, and may he praise me, saying, Hammurabi the Lord, who is like a father and begetter to his people, submitted himself to the command of the god Marduk, his lord, and achieved victory for the god Marduk everywhere. He gladdened the heart of the god Marduk, his lord, and he secured the eternal well-being of the people and provided just ways for the land. May he say thus, and may he pray for me with his whole heart before the gods Marduk, my lord, and Sarpanitu, my lady. May the protective spirits, the gods who enter the Asangil temple, and the very brickwork of the Asangil temple, make my daily portents auspicious before the gods Marduk, my lord, and Sarpanitu, my lady. Tim Smith, this sounds like the boastful rhetoric of Gilgamesh. What do you think, Dr. Josh? No question. I mean, this is a motif, right? And it's, you know what we'll do? This is good. Thank you for bringing that up, Tim. By the way, everybody, if I haven't said it, thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate it. I really, really do. It's very kind. But one of the things that you see kings doing is there's just tons and tons and tons of boasting. I'm going to write a 🀭rap soon. I got to find time to do it. But 🀭 was a king, and 🀭 has a lot of very boastful hymns. These hymns are probably written for the kings, but we'll read a bunch of them at some point. Megan and I will. But yes, very boastful, very similar. Richard Madsen, was Shamash a god of destruction? And the Hebrew Shamash means came to ruin. Shama. No, Shamash is from the Hebrew is a cognate Shemesh for sun. So it's the sun deity. Yeah, he wasn't of destruction. Actually, he's a god of justice. He's a protective god. I mean, he does obviously fight. He helps Gilgamesh kill Humbaba. But yeah. A life worth living. Digital Hammurabi, when the law says temple, is it referring to the body? If not, then what's the definition? Oh, you're talking about during the physician, no, the head, opening up the head. So this is surgery of a physician, if that's what you're referring to. Gemma Scout, we appreciate you for the scholarship you bring to us. Thank you. You guys are incredibly sweet. Beach Price, so once you write these laws on a stele, it would be pretty hard to change them. Do we have any evidence that these laws were ever modified? It's like you anticipated what's getting ready to happen. And that's from @human-powered-machine. So stand by. I'm going to answer that. Vibrantly Brantley. You could be my teacher any day, Josh. Thank you. I miss teaching, frankly. It's one of the reasons I did the Sumerian course. I used to teach, when I taught Hebrew, I'd get there 2 hours early. It's a 4-hour class. Seminary students get there 2 hours early, and they would come in and I'd teach them modern Hebrew for 2 hours, and then I'd teach them biblical Hebrew for 4 hours. They were amazing people, but I love teaching. Nicholas Quinton, I'm cooking dinner and doing dishes. You're making this less tedious. Thank you. I'm enjoying it. I'm just really excited that you guys are all here and enjoying this. Okay, so Beej. Here we go. May any king who will appear in the land in the future at any time observe the pronouncements of justice that I inscribed upon my stela. May he not alter the judgments that I rendered and the verdicts that I gave, nor remove my engraved image. If that man has discernment and is capable of providing just ways for his land, may he heed the pronouncements I have inscribed upon my stela. May that stela reveal for him the traditions, the proper conduct, the judgments of the land that I rendered, the verdicts of the land that I gave, and may he, too, provide just ways for all humankind in his care. Good Lord. Oh, okay. I don't know how much that is, but that's... Thank you. Exuni, 400 something. Thank you. That's... I feel silly that I don't know what that denomination is. I mean, what that currency is. Thank you very much. If anybody knows, please let me know. That's amazing. Thank you. Sorry. So Exuni, 400. So I just want to make sure I got it in the voice. It just kind of caught me off guard. Richard Madsen, Digital Hammurabi, I second the scholarship compliment. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Richard. And I just want to say, Richard, I promise that Skylar and I are not ignoring you. I know that's impossible to believe. I know it. But we talk about you almost after every stream. We go, we got to get Richard on. I just want you to know that. It's just, for some reason, it's very difficult. I don't know why. I have no justification of none. But I just want you to know it's not intentional. A life worth living. So the temple or head wasn't to be open during surgery, or did I misunderstand it? No, it was. It was open. What he was saying is that what the law said was, if you do open it and you heal the eye, for example, then you have to pay the physician a certain amount, depending on what your class, your rank was. But if you opened it up and essentially if you did surgery and the person died, then obviously the situation was different. Gemma Scout. We're undereducated nerds. I doubt that. Rupees. Okay, awesome, Theomaki. Thank you. 400 rupees. I feel so like a Philistine here. I don't know how much 400 rupees is, but it's very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. Theomaki, do we have the gist of what Akkadian sounded? Yes. If so, would you or anyone else try to pronounce it in what we can reconstruct? I'll do it right now. Okay. Anawarkiat umi ana matima sharum sha inamatum ibashu. Awat misharim sha inanariya ashturu. Litsu din matim sha adinu poruse. That's probably porose. Matim sha aprusu. Probably aprusu, sorry. I unakir utsuratia. I ushasik. Shuma awilam shu. Tashimatam ishuma. Masu shu te shuram. Ilai ana awatim sha inanariya. Ashturu likulma kibsam. Ridam din matim sha adinu puruse matim sha aprusu. Narum shu likali long one likalim shuma. Tsalmat kakadishu lishtesher. Dinshina lidin, sorry. Purusashina liprus. Inamatishu ragam utsenam lisuch shir nishishu litib. So there you go. Oh boy. Okay. So Richard Madsen, do not take away from others for me, please. No, I promise he wants to get you on. So do I. Gemma Scout, I'm only a nurse. Only? That's... Nursing is crazy difficult. Thank you for doing it. 91 likes from Gemma Scout. Thank you for pointing that out. If you guys haven't liked it, please do. Theomaki, my guess. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Sorry, Squy. Is that how Squee? Squy, I think is how I pronounced it. Can you briefly describe how we know how Akkadian sounds? Yeah, so it's tough, right? And I wouldn't say the word know there is loose. So it's a Semitic language, right? And there are different ways that people get at pronunciations. You can do, a lot of it has to do with comparing to other languages. Semitic is really nice because we have so many different Semitic languages, and you can see consistency between the different Semitic languages. And of course, Arabic has come down, which is a Semitic language. So that being said, you look a lot of times at proper nouns because they seem to carry over in transliteration into different languages. So this is one of the ways you can kind of get at Sumerian. But you have, anyway, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So Sumerian, we know less about the pronunciation, although I think we do know a fair amount about the pronunciation of Sumerian. I won't go into that because that's more complicated. Part of my dissertation is on pronunciation of Sumerian. So, but yes, we don't know. We don't know, but we have a pretty good idea. Theomaki, my guess is it's Semitic. Yep. For a second, I thought you were going to say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yes, we could. I used to sing. Boy, let's see if I can do it. Unless this will drive likes down. I don't know. I used to sing to Paige Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid Hashem ro'i lo echsar Binod beshe yarbitzeini Al memnochot yenachaleni. And it goes on, but I used to hold her and walk around, and that's how I got her to go to sleep. Okay, sorry. Oliver makes nursing look easy, vibrantly Brantley. Yes, he does, and he really enjoys it, and I cannot blame him. That might have been too much. Sorry. Human-powered machine, Digital Hammurabi. Does Akkadian have written vowel points? They're not vowel points, and it's not an alphabetic script. So cuneiform is a syllabic system, and actually, if any of the moderators want to do this, I don't know how to do it actually, and I'm afraid I'll end the stream if I try to. But if you could go to our channel, Megan has a really good introduction to cuneiform, and you can see how the syllables work together. Right. So no, there aren't vowel points like there are in Hebrew. And it's of course Hebrew is an alphabetic script. Akkadian's not. That was plenty for me. I appreciate it, of course. Thank you very much. A life worth living. Thanks for the clarification. So the Hammurabi had laws on surgery. Did any of these carry over into other cultures? Thanks for the educational platform. I highly appreciate it. Keep it up. No, thank you. Thank you for being here, for asking such good questions. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But actually, there are people that specialize in Assyriology, specialize in medical texts. And so, you know what? Moody, Dr. Moody should be coming on soon again. She's going to talk about gynecology. Hopefully Saturday, maybe Saturday. She's supposed to be interviewed by Megan. I don't think it would work for me to interview her on gynecological things because they're going to talk about their own experiences. But hopefully we can get Megan in a place where she has a good Wi-Fi in the UK to stream in. So hopefully that'll work. Right. Theomaki, you're a good singer. Thank you. I appreciate that. Gemma Scout, love the chant. Thank you. It's really kind. Really, really kind to you guys. Okay, sorry. I promised to get through this, and then we'll probably wrap it up. So where did I leave off? Okay. I am Hammurabi, king of justice, to whom the god Shamash has granted insight into the truth. My pronouncements are choice, and my achievements are unrivaled. They are meaningless only to the fool, but to the wise they are praiseworthy. Isn't that an interesting trope that you see? If you don't like them, you're foolish. Anyway, you just see that in the biblical text as well. Right. If that man, a future ruler, heeds my pronouncements which I have inscribed upon my stela, and do not reject my judgments, change my pronouncements, or alter my engraved image, then may the god Shamash lengthen his reign, just as he has done for me, the king of justice, and so may he shepherd his people with justice. But, and if you think about what I'm getting ready to read here, if any of you have looked at Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28, particularly in Deuteronomy, the blessings and the cursings that come in the text, you can see this pattern in the ancient Near East, particularly down in the first millennium with somebody like Esarhaddon. You can see this pattern of long sets of curses at the ends of text if you screw with what's written there. But should that man not heed my pronouncements, which I have inscribed upon my stela, and should he slight my curses, and not fear the curses of the gods, and thus overturn my judgments that I rendered, change my pronouncements, or alter my engraved image, erase my inscribed name, and inscribe his own name in its place, or should he, because of fear of these curses, have someone else do so, that man, whether he is a king, a lord, or a governor, or any person at all, may the great god Anu, father of the gods, who has proclaimed my reign, deprive him of the sheen of royalty, smash his scepter, and curse his destiny. May the god Enlil, the Lord, who determines destinies, whose utterance cannot be countermanded, who magnifies my kingship, incite against him, even in his own residence, disorder that cannot be quelled, and a rebellion that will result in his obliteration. May he cast as his fate a reign of groaning, of few days, of years of famine, of darkness without illumination, and of sudden death. May he declare with his venerable speech the obliteration of his city, the dispersion of his people, the supplanting of his dynasty, and the blotting out of his name and his memory from the land. May the goddess Ninlil, notice how long this goes, may the goddess Ninlil, the great mother whose utterance is honored in the Acor temple, the mistress who makes my portents auspicious, denounce his case before the god Enlil at the place of litigation and verdict. May she induce the divine king Enlil to pronounce the destruction of his land, the obliteration of his people, and the spilling of his life force like water. Life force. Wonder what that is. Just keep that in mind. Sorry, I'll stop for just a second because I see a bunch of people commenting. You have to practice singing that in the Hoven voice for a future stream. All right. That was Nicholas Quinton. David Friskin. Did they have any of the unclean concept as found in the East and West? I don't remember. So I don't know at the moment. Let me look. It's a good question. Curse is also at the end of Revelation. Let's see. That's a copyright clause. Nice. Ancient copyright. May the god Ea, Enki, the great prince whose destinies take precedence, the sage among the gods, all-knowing, who lengthens the days of my life, deprive him of all understanding and wisdom. And may he lead him into confusion. May he dam up his rivers at the source. May he not allow any life-sustaining grain in his land. May the god Shamash, the great judge of heaven and earth, who provides just ways for all living creatures, the Lord, my trust, overturn his kingship. May he not render his judgments. May he confuse his path and undermine the morale of his army. When divination is performed for him, this is a big deal. May he provide an inauspicious omen portending the uprooting of the foundations of his kingship and the obliteration of his land. May the malevolent word of the god Shamash swiftly overtake him. May he uproot him from among the living above and make the ghost thirst for water below in the netherworld. May the god Sin, my creator, whose oracular decision prevails among the gods, deprive him of the crown and throne of kingship, and impose upon him an onerous punishment, a great penalty for him, which will not depart from his body. May he conclude every day, month, and year of his reign with groaning and mourning. May he unveil before him a contender for the kingship. May he decree for him a life that is no better than death. May the god Adad, Lord of abundance, the canal inspector of heaven and earth, my helper, deprive him of the benefits of rain from heaven and flood from the springs, and may he obliterate his land through destitution and famine. May he roar fiercely over his city, and may he turn his land into the abandoned hills left by flood. May the god Zababa, the great warrior, the firstborn son of the Acor temple, who travels at my right side, smash his weapon upon the field of battle. May he turn day into night for him, and make his enemy triumph over him. May the goddess Ishtar, mistress of battle and warfare, who bears my weapon, my benevolent protective spirit, who loves my reign, curse his kingship. With her angry heart and great fury, may she turn his auspicious omens into calamities. May she smash his weapon on the field of war and battle, plunge him into confusion and rebellion, strike down his warriors, drench the earth with their blood, make a heap of the corpses of his soldiers upon the plain, and may she show his soldiers no mercy. As for him, may she deliver him into the hand of his enemies, and may she lead him bound captive to the land of his enemy. Let me pause for just a second here. Anunnaki the One. Hey, good to see you again. Hello, Digital Hammurabi. How have you and your family been? Hope we've been well. Doing really well. I appreciate that. It's good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Gemma Scout, you're doing well at keeping up with the chat. Thank you. It's and I'm sorry, anybody that's not tagging me Digital Hammurabi, I can't... I have a tough time reading through that stuff. Sorry. So just make sure you tag me at Digital Hammurabi. Vibrantly Brantley. All I could find was this alphabet song. Oh, I liked singing that alphabet song. Oh, gosh. Theomaki. Has anyone ever made a lexicon of the vocabulary in the laws of Hammurabi? I don't know. I mean, of course, you can find all of the words that are used in there in the Chicago Assyrian Dictionary, but it's not all like in one place. But I don't know. Nicholas Quinton. Man, Hammurabi was petty and vindictive. The thing is, it's really consistent throughout all the kings. But yeah, it is something like that. Oh. A secker for $5, and I hope I pronounced that right, like water and otter. This will make a good soundbite. I, Dr. Hovind, do admit that you, Dr. Josh, have a superior education. I admit complete defeat. That was good. Thank you very much for the super chat. Excuse me. Digital Hammurabi from DLJ. Was that bears his weapon or bears his weapon? Asking for a friend. Yeah, it's the latter. For your friend. Michelle Desert. Good evening, Digital Hammurabi. This was very interesting. Thank you. And thank you for being here. It's been awesome. I promise I'm almost done. Yep, like 4 more, and then we're done. Okay. May the god Nergal, the mighty one among the gods, the irresistible onslaught, by the way, while I'm reading this, if you have questions, I'm going to wrap it up after this because I think we've gone almost 2 hours. But if you do have a couple of questions that I can answer quickly, go ahead and put them in the side chat while I finish reading here. Thank you, guys. So may the god Nergal, the mighty one among the gods, the irresistible onslaught, who enables me to achieve my triumphs, burn his people with his great overpowering weapon, like a raging fire in a reed thicket. May he have him beaten with his mighty weapon and shatter his limbs like those of a clay figure. May the goddess Nintu, august mistress of the lands, the mother, my creator, deprive him of an heir and give him no offspring. May she not allow a human child to be born among his people. May the goddess Ninkarak, daughter of the god Anu, who promotes my cause in the Acor temple, cause a grievous malady to break out upon his limbs, an evil demonic disease, a serious carbuncle which cannot be soothed, which a physician cannot diagnose, which he cannot ease with bandages, which, like the bite of death, cannot be expunged. May he bewail his lost virility until his life comes to an end. May the great gods of heaven and earth, all the Anunnaku deities together, the protective spirit of the temple, the very brickwork of the Babar temple, curse that one, his seed, his land, his troops, his people, and his army with a terrible curse. May the god Enlil, whose command cannot be countermanded, curse him with these curses, and may they swiftly overtake him. The end. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's no joke. You don't want to go messing with a Stella. So that was a really good question, Beach. Okay. All right, so I see one question from Kenneth Nystrom, if I pronounced that correctly. Are these texts non-copyrighted? The texts. The translations, like Martha Roth's translation would still be obviously copyrighted. It was in 1997. But yeah. Okay, Tom McDonald. Okay, Vercingetorix. Thank you. Sorry, couldn't let it go. I'm just a tad obsessive. Sorry. Oh, that's awesome. So, just as a side note, the Sumerian text that I wrote my dissertation on, what you just did there by writing out the words verse, sing, ghetto, and rix, that's how they wrote the Sumerian tablets that I translated, that I worked on. They wrote them out phonetically like that, just like you would do for a graduation if you're writing somebody's name out like that was hard to pronounce. So it's very interesting. I think that they were performed, and I think they were read aloud by people or followed by people during the performance that didn't know the language, that spoke Akkadian and not Sumerian. That was my theory. That doesn't mean that it's right, obviously. But yeah, it's very interesting that's how they wrote them out. Vibrantly Brantley, Kenneth, but maybe the translations are copyrightable. Yep. Gemma Scout, the end. Thank you. No, thank you, really, all of you for being here. Yes, Beach, dire punishments. I see that there. DLJ, epistemology question. Did they have the concept that all knowledge comes from gods? All knowledge. I don't think I would say all knowledge. What I would say is that there's definitely a tradition that Enki and the Apkallu, later on in particular, were the ones that were responsible for bringing wisdom to the people, wisdom of things like agriculture and, the ways of society, those sorts of things. I don't know that there would have been this epistemology that thought, about like all knowledge, everything that could be known. I think it's just those things that deal with like advanced wisdom in the ways of the world, that sort of thing. So, and you see that actually in the Epic of Gilgamesh, because Gilgamesh goes off to bring back the secret hidden knowledge from before the flood. So, Theomaki, what would you say are the best and worst law in Hammurabi's laws? I don't know. I don't know that I've thought about that. But I think that it's interesting to me that debt slavery is only 3 years in Hammurabi's laws, whereas in the biblical text it's 6. But yeah, I don't really know. I haven't really thought about that, so that's not a good answer. Sorry. Also, I'm a little tired, so I'm trying to think back through them, and I'm failing. Anunnaki the One, exactly at Digital Hammurabi. You should always remind the public that Sumerian is a pictographic, syllabic-based language and was isolated from Mesopotamia and other later languages. Yep. That's what makes it the best. Sorry, I love Sumerian. So, yeah. Tom McDonald. That's interesting. The idea that the texts were performed. That never occurred to me. I mean, we definitely know the texts were performed. There was this, and there's an interview. Megan interviewed me early on when we started the channel, where I talk about my dissertation. I talk about what my thoughts were on it. Again, don't go reading my dissertation and look at my conclusions and say, well, that must be what it is. This is just what I just started down. I think I just started down the road. The main point of my dissertation was to get through as many of those unorthographic, that's what they call them, syllabically written, phonetically written texts as I could. And I think I got through a lot of them, and I think I did a pretty good job on it. But of course, I would say that, wouldn't I? But that's just, we know that rituals were performed, right, and that there were actors in them. You can see this in Mari, but that's what I thought about those texts, and you can hear my arguments if you watch the video. So, okay, well, guys, this has been amazing, and I don't know how many people we have watching right now, but or how many likes or anything, but I've had a lot of fun, and I think this was good. Okay, I see another one. Do you think, Theomaki, do you think the length of debt slavery might have something to do with the wealth of Hammurabi's region and the wealth in Canaan? Was the former wealthier than the latter? That's tough for me to say. What I will say is one of the things that's very, 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 very important in the ancient Near East is Misharum. Oh boy, we're getting more questions. Sorry. All right, I'm going to take those two, and then I gotta wrap this up. So Kenneth Nystrom's and DLJ's. I'll also take human-powered machines, but I gotta stop after that because I gotta get to bed, honestly. But releasing debt was a very important thing in the ancient Near East, and it was something that kings did. Oftentimes, when they came to power, they would release the debt in the land. So this idea of releasing debt slavery, having an end to it, was really, really important because it kept the economy going and kept things from getting so imbalanced. This keeping the rich from oppressing the poor, that sort of thing. So, wow, 104 likes and 0 dislikes. That's fantastic. You guys are like incredible. Okay, let me answer these questions here. Question: Hebrew Ra, Israel, same Ra as Egyptian Ra, just that the Hebrews thought that Ra was evil. No, I don't think so. Actually, we talked about this last slide on the non sequitur. Yisrael is probably a form of Sarah. I haven't read all the secondary literature on this, so don't take my this isn't the final word. But Sarah, to fight, to struggle, and then El, of course, God. So Yisra, so he struggled, he fought, which of course works in the Jacob angel story. So it could either be that El is the subject, God fights, God struggles, or he struggles with El. So no, I don't think Ra is in there. DLJ, thank you for the answer to the knowledge question that could settle an argument I'm having here. Cool. And an Islamic country. Hey, that's awesome. I love the fact that we have people from all over the world, and particularly from the region that I'm so interested in. Here, not that I hold anybody that watches above anybody else, but it's just always really cool to have people from Syria, Iraq, Iran. It's just really cool. There's a special place in my heart for people from that region. So thank you all for watching that are there. I love all of you, just to be clear. But it's just cool. Human-powered machine. At Digital Hammurabi, would you also agree that parts of the Bible were read performed? Yeah, they must have been. Particularly this, and I haven't thought in particular about this. We have laments in the text. You have the psalms that were sung probably on the way up to Jerusalem. So yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit more. I haven't thought specifically about this. All right, I'm gonna give in because I see 4 more. Let me just do these really quick. Digital Hammurabi, get your rest, from Theomaki. Hope you and the kids are well. Have a great night, and thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Jim Majors, is this where the year of Jubilee comes from? I'd have to look at, definitely the year of Jubilee is a part of this, right? Everyone is released at that point. So yeah, that's, but I don't know specifically if that's its etymology or if its origin. Anunnaki the One, thank you, and may the gods bless you and your family with long life and prosperity. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Anunnaki the One is one that's from the region, so I just really appreciate him being here. Christina Santiago, Digital Hammurabi is definitely one of the best new channels on YouTube. A Digital Hammurabi fangirl. You're incredible. All of you are incredible. Thank you. Thank you all. And yeah, Elias, fake name. We love Megan. But you're okay too, Josh. Thank you. I appreciate that. Megan is the better half, obviously, but Josh is good too. Vibrantly Brantley, thank you. I agree wholeheartedly. Richard Madsen, very thought-provoking. Good show. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. Well, I'll be on Talking Doctrine tomorrow. Digital Fiction, we'll do something this weekend, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Good things to come. Hopefully I'll get that slavery thing done. Thank you, DLJ. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching and for liking the channel, sharing it out, all that stuff. You guys make this worthwhile, so thank you all very much. All right, I'm going to go get some sleep. And until next time, just make sure I got my buttons here. Until next time, resist poor scholarship. Always ask, how do you know that? Good night, guys.